Hey guys, this is going to be my first video that focuses on a particular map. Assuming this goes well and you guys enjoy it, I'm going to turn this into a series where I cover as many of the maps as I can. We're going to start this series with one of the smallest maps in the game, Cool Tower. Okay, so here we have a blank map of Cool Tower. This is the basic outline of the map and as well as the size of the map in total, which is 8,448 meters squared. As this video goes on, I'll be showing you where important things are located on the map and slowly fill it in as I show you, and by the end of the video, this map will be full. I put a legend on the side to show you that we'll be using squiggly lines to represent pallets, red squares to represent jungle gyms, or structures as they're properly called, and a green dotted line will represent paths. Alright, so the first and most important thing to add in the map are the landmarks. These are unique buildings that will always spawn in the same location and are easy to identify to help you realize where you are on the map. The two main landmarks for Cool Tower are the Killer Shack, which is easily recognizable since it spawns on almost every other map, and the actual tower itself, which is a very large two-story building that's unique to this map. There's also a giant stack of logs that spawns in the middle of the map, as well as a path that runs from the main tower to the shack. The path is just kind of a dirt road with trees on either side, but is decently important, and we'll explain why later. Using these landmarks, you can tell where you are at any time in the map. If you get lost and need a sense of direction, just reference these buildings, and then using the knowledge that you'll get from the rest of this video, you'll be able to judge where to go to find pallets and windows, or whatever safety you're looking for. You can see in the video right now that I start from shack at the bottom of the image, and I follow the path, which is the green dotted line, the whole way up to the main building. This is a pretty good reference for what it looks like. Another sort of landmark that you could use are the jungle gym spawns. These are the structures that spawn around the map, and they'll guaranteed always spawn in the same location. In this clip, I'll be starting in the top right, moving my way down the map to show you the 3 jungle gyms on the right side, and then going to the other side of the map to show you the 2 that are on the left. Keep in mind that we're going from the top of the image to the bottom, so left and right is kind of backwards. It's important to note that these structures will always be there, but you can't know for sure which version of the structure it'll be. There's actually 3 different kinds that can spawn on Macmillan maps. There's T-walls, single pallets, and jungle gyms. If you want to learn more about these structures and how to play them or play around them, I have a whole separate video dedicated to it that I'll link in the description below. Before we start showing the pallet spawns, I want to cover the main tower quickly. The main tower will always have one very strong window on the bottom floor, and the other possible window spawn will be boarded up and closed. It has a second floor that you can go to that will commonly have a generator spawn. Also on the second floor are 2 holes in the wall for you to jump down. One opening will always be boarded up and the other will always be open. This depends on which window is open downstairs. The downstairs window that is open will always have a boarded hole above it, and the boarded downstairs window will always have an opening above it on the second floor. There are also 3 different pallets that spawn outside of the tower. The first is outside the side door, and it's beside a parked car. This pallet is pretty safe as the loops around it are pretty large. The second pallet spawn is around these massive Caterpillar tank tires, and these spawn directly in front of the main entrance to the tower. This pallet is fairly safe to use, although slightly less so than the previous one. The last of the pallets is around the backside, and it's between these wire spools and this rock. Keep in mind that between the 3 of these pallets that spawn on the outside of the tower, only 2 of these will spawn at a time, so it's not a guarantee that they'll be there. Another thing to keep in mind that's important about the main tower of this map, as well as the Killer Shack, is that the direction they're facing is not always consistent. The main entrance might be facing the shack one game, and the next game it could be facing one of the sides, or towards the map wall at the top. Because of this, I won't be putting the pallets that spawn around the tower into the map image, since it's impossible to know where they'll actually be. The pallet spawns are pretty interesting, and I'll show you a quick example of the map completely filled in. Now, if you've played this game even for a few hours, you probably know that no map has this many pallets. The reason this map looks this way is because every single one of these pallet markers is a spot where a pallet has a chance to spawn. There's also a chance for it to spawn a completely dead zone where there's nothing but trees and rocks with no advantage for the survivors whatsoever. This makes it very important to be able to recognize what a pallet spawn looks like so you can see it from a distance whether you should head towards it in a chase or leave it alone because you know that there's nothing there. Probably the easiest to recognize are the double pallets. These are commonly called double pallets because for about a year after this game's release, there used to have 2 pallets on either side. Nowadays, there will be 1 pallet in between the rubble on one side of the tile, and it's fairly easy to see from afar because it has very low walls. There's another pallet spawn that's in between 2 giant rocks. As you play more, you'll start to be able to recognize this rock formation from a distance and know to run to it for safety. There are a couple more that are very similar to this. For instance, this pallet spawns between tree and a rock that are formed together. Luckily, there are only 3 variations of these rock/tree pallets that can spawn, so memorizing what they look like is fairly easy to do. The last kind of pallet that can spawn are the path pallets. These are sort of unique because they can only spawn on the sides of paths, and they are also the only pallet that can spawn there. You'll never find any of the other pallet spawns on the sides of paths, and you'll never find these path pallets anywhere other than the path. This is why the path is important to know, and it's also why the pallet markers on our map image are slightly different than the rest. Okay, so to do this in a way that isn't completely overwhelming, we'll clear the map image of the pallet spawns for now. I'm going to do a walkthrough of the map, and as we get to potential pallet spawns, I'll mark it onto the map. That way you can get a realistic idea of where in the map you can look when you're actually in game. So that's about all there is to Cool Tower. This is one of the smaller maps in the game, so learning it should hopefully be one of the easiest. Map knowledge is probably the most important thing to learn in Dead by Daylight, but keep in mind that this video is more geared towards helping you find your way around the map and knowing where to go, as opposed to actually being able to play the maps correctly. If you want even more help on playing pallets or structures as efficiently as possible, feel free to check out my other guides that I have on my channel that I'll link in the description box under the video. I personally believe that the biggest and hardest step to becoming an extremely good player is knowing the maps and how to play them, so hopefully this can help you guys out. If you guys have any good feedback or any constructive criticism to make this more clear for new people going forward, feel free to let me know. This is the first video I've done that's based around one map in particular, so I'm sure there's a lot of things to improve on, so I'm definitely down to hear you guys out. Remember to subscribe to the channel and give feedback if you guys have it, and most of all, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later. I'll see you later.
Sometimes I like to say, brother. Joe.